In 1997, I was released from Broad River Correctional Institution in Columbia, South Carolina. The night before I was released, I told myself, I said, self, you've given almost 10 years of your life to incarceration. Between jail and between prison time, it's almost added up to 10 years. And I made an oath to myself at that time that I would never come back to prison again. So the next day when I walked out those gates, I turned around and I told that prison I would never be back. And I meant it. And from that day until 2013, I have not been back. When I came home, I was confused. I didn't know really which direction to go in. I knew that I wasn't gonna put myself in a position to go back to prison, but I didn't know what was gonna happen for me. So I was being very optimistic and I was maintaining. So one of my friends told me before I got out, he said, well, it's only two things right now that I feel like are the biggest money makers. And he said, that's marijuana and that's the black market business. So I said, well, what's the black market business? He said, you know, the piracy of music and film. And of course, marijuana. So when I came home, those are the only two options that I had. And those are the two options that I ventured out for. So I went to New York and I left Columbia, South Carolina to meet up with some Jamaicans that I knew. And I knew that they would have the best prices for me and they would have the best thing for me. So when I went to New York, one of my friends, my man Dog, you know, he forced me to go out because at that time I had just came home. I really wasn't into hanging out. Like I had no plans on going to nightclubs. Like my life was just burnt out. I had already did my thing. So Dog says, nah, you gonna go out tonight. So I tried to get out of it. Like I ain't got nothing to wear. He was like, well, I'm gonna call somebody. So he ended up taking me out and I'm driving. So I went to take out a CD to put in another CD, and a song came on the radio that we didn't have on CD. So we rocked to the song for a minute, and right when I went to put the CD in, a commercial came on the radio, and it jumped out inside the car, and it was to the effect of, yo, you think you got what it takes to be in the business? Well, Hype Williams wants to meet you. New feature film, bam, 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 bam. So at that moment, I said, yo, a film? Movies? I had always told myself prior to hearing that commercial, yo, every time I watch the movie, I'll be like, yo, I can do this. Yo, I can do this better than them. So, and at the same time, everybody in the car, which is my mans in them, and we from New York. So for a brother from New York to, you know, to come sincere at you, it mean a lot. So my man Dog said, yo, Kev, you should go to that. You can do that. You a movie. And I was like, then my man in the back, my man Cat, was like, yo, every time I see a movie, I'm like, yo, my man Michael can do this way better. Then my other man, Puff, he was like, yo, remember them girls from Jersey? They actress model chicks. They always ask about you. They always say, why your man is not in the business? And I was like, then I told myself, I was like, self, we gonna do this. So the open call was in December of 1997. The day I went to the open call, I actually made it there at the last moment because there was a sister that came outside and said, this is the last call. Anybody that is auditioning today, this is the last call. And I remember when she handed me the paper, she kind of like looked me up and down. So I'm like, what's up with her? But I didn't know. She was a casting director. So when I went inside, I immediately retreated from the open call. So my instincts kicked in and I slipped the paper in my back pocket and I tried to retreat out of the door. And that's when the sister popped up again and said, hey, excuse me, aren't you auditioning? And I said, nah. I was just bringing my man because I actually brought one of my cousins with me. So I was like, nah, just bringing him. And then she gave me the. So the sister says, look, I know what you are and I know what you do. And if you keep doing what you do, you're gonna go back where you've been, or you're gonna go somewhere where you can't come back from. And a chill went through my body and I froze. And at that moment, there was the street and there was the business. That was one of the biggest decisions I ever made in my life. Because now that it's 2013 and I can reflect back to that moment, I said, all right, I'm gonna do it. That woman was my angel. God sent that woman my way. And that woman's name is Jackie Brown Carmen. And I owe everything to that woman. Because if she wouldn't have said what she said to me, I would have went outside, I would have waited on my cousin to come out, I would have went to see my Jamaicans, and I would have went back down south. That's what I would have did. But I didn't do that. I listened to her, and I proceeded to continue with the open call. And that's when I saw Hype Williams, which I didn't know who he was. If they put 20 people in front of me and said, pick the one as Hype Williams, I wouldn't have known who he was. And there was a writer from the movie, Anthony Bowden. And they were in front of me at the open call, and the open call was literally an X on the floor, and you walked up to it, and they both were there. And they just sparred with you and just shot at you. And all of a sudden, I heard them say, yeah, I like him. So they put the thumb up, and they told me to go this way. The whole time I was there, like, nobody went that way. Everybody went that way. So, you know, the whole production team, which was like, they were all, you know, delighted. They took several pictures of me from different angles. And I'm like, wow. I went from mug shots, like, you know, to like production shots. Like, I mean, people were taking multiple pictures of me. And they gave me some lines, and they said, look, you're gonna learn these lines, and you're gonna come to this address for the audition. And the paper said, congratulations, you've been selected to audition for Hype Williams' film Belly. So I just walked out of there, and it was a triumph. It was victorious. And I was like, wow, this is the first thing that I ever did that was legit. Because when I first got locked up, which was like 1986, there was an OG in there, you know, what you call him, the old head. And I remember him saying, look, you done messed your social security number up, and you done messed your government name up. So I'm telling you what you gotta do from now on. You gotta be an entrepreneur. So whatever you do, you gotta be an entrepreneur. I don't care if you cut grass, I don't care if you clean windows, but whatever you do, you gotta work for yourself from now on. So that was like his wisdom of him being an old man to the younger generation. And I always remembered that because he was right. Because ever since that happened, that was like 1986. Every time I tried to get a job, I had several girlfriends that were in the corporate world. And they would always try to give me a job, and I never could because of my government name and my social. Once you get in trouble and you become a product of the system, you start getting incarcerated, it's a wrap. Society doesn't really respect you anymore. They don't look at it like you made a mistake. They don't judge it that way. So I was never able to get. I tried to get a job working for an electric company, working for cable, working for all these things, but I would always make it past different people, but never HR. They would always say sorry. HR said no, and I would always be discouraged, and that made me go into the hood and hustle. That made me go get money. So basically, I was given an opportunity now to go legit, and I really was happy about it. So I left the audition. I read the lines. I just really was excited. So I'm sitting here at this first audition, and I'm in the room full of my number one rapper, one of my greatest actors, and I'm like, wow. I'm in my late 20s, and I'm in the game right now. Like, I grew up fast, and I'm just excited to be around these people. So I'm very happy, and I'm like, hey, how y'all doing? And each person looked at me like, what you talking about, Willis? Like, I wasn't trying to carry on a conversation. I was just merely like, hey, and they were just like, and I was like, wow, like, I purchased your stuff, and like, you can't even fake like you like me right now, like, be like, what's happening? But I was like, okay, I see what's happening. But it gave me more fuel, it gave me more fire to like go in there and do my thing. So the opportunity, see, the people that didn't know that, I was thankful, I was grateful for this opportunity because they didn't know my background. That's why you never assume somebody. You never judge a book by their cover, because I was thankful to be put in that kind of position, and I was hungry. I was very hungry. And I put myself in a position to better myself. So I was taking this serious. So when I went in, I thought I did wrong because I felt the energy in the room, but it was because I did well. And I did so well, I knew my lines without needing my paper. And at the time, as being a rookie and still wet behind the ears, I didn't know that meant a lot. Because when somebody gives you lines, everybody has to basically hold them in the audition. I didn't need my lines. So my first audition went very, very well. And I was selected for a second audition. And then a third audition. And then a fourth audition. And the phone call came. That phone call came. Yeah. It came, and it was like, hello. And I waited by the phone, I was waiting for this call, and I didn't go nowhere. I sat by the phone. I protected the phone, and that phone call came. It was in the evening. It was about 5-ish. I answered the phone. I heard like a stock exchange going on. I could tell there was a lot of people that was in the background, and it was like, can I speak to McCall or something? And I'm like, nah, this is Michael. And it was like, hey, Michael. This is Big Dog Productions, and we would like to congratulate you. You've been selected for the role of Killer in Hype Williams' film Belly.